Welcome back to the Pioneers Sideline. I now send it over to Johnie Freiwald with this week's rugby report.
On Friday, the Point Park Pioneers headed to Carnegie Mellon University to take on the Tartans rugby team. This game was heated even before it began as these crosstown rivals prepared for the game. The excitement drew quite a crowd of Point Park students armed with thundersticks and ready to cheer on the Bisons. Jake Como is back in the game this week after being injured in the first game of the season against Fairmont. We saw a lot of big hits from him and the Bisons as this fast-paced game started off. CMU was the first to score both a try and a conversion kick, followed by a second try almost immediately after, leaving the score 12-0 until the Bisons fired back with a drive down the field by senior hook Tom Walk. The drive was stopped just short of the try zone, but a few seconds later the Bisons scored the try, missing the conversion kick. The Tartans answered back once again with their third try and then an attempt at a fourth, but the Bisons stopped the drive before breaking for the half. After a slow start to the second half, the Bisons burst down the field toward the try zone, but the Tartans come up with the ball and score their fourth try of the game, following instantly with a fifth for CMU, finishing the game with a score of 27-5. This intense rivalry left both teams with injuries, including a sprained ankle for Jake Finch, bruised ribs for Nathan Canan, and a possible concussion for Aiden Overcash. This week's bye week allows the team to heal up and prepare for their next game.
Johnny, look at the Pioneers there. They lose a tough one to crosstown rival CMU, but once again, this is a team that's really been on the rise the last couple of years, trying to really get their feet wet. What do you see the Pioneers doing lately that's trying to really get that crowd going, as their crowd has really come alive this season?
The crowd helps them tremendously. You know, after this week's loss and the one before that, the crowd really keeps their spirit moving and keeps them alive and ready for the next win.
And then you look at this, the Pioneers, they have a bye week this week. Now they can either rest, or we've also heard they can play with the Pittsburgh Hooligans Rugby Club as well. What do you think would be more beneficial to this team? Because there's lots of players that are on the bench hurt, but they also still have a lot of young players that really need that playing time.
Honestly, I think the best solution would be a little bit of both. Obviously, the injured players should stay off the field and heal up and get the best rest that they can, but I feel that the remaining players could take this great opportunity to train and to learn from these professional rugby players.
Now, how have you seen these freshmen grow so far through the season? They've only had 3 games, so not a big survey to work with, but as you can see, this team really starting to bond together as they become a lot more legitimate since we've started.
Well, just like you said, they're really starting to bond. They're all becoming a family. And as we know with this Point Park rugby team, family is what matters to them. They are one unit and they stick together, and that bond off the field really carries them through these tough times with these last 2 losses.
With this bond and this week off to really get their players together and get the injured ones back, how do you think this will help the team as the season goes on?
Well, the more they bond, the better they'll work together, and that'll continue as they not only bond but learn. And you know, some of these players have never played rugby before coming to Point Park, so the more practice and experience they get, obviously the better the team will get.
And Johnny, one quick little thing here once again, the fans one quick little thing before we go to break. The fans, they've been so big for this team. How do you see them helping them through the rest of the season as well, not only with the players growing, but with the fan support they've received so far?
Like I said before, with the fan support, it keeps their spirits high. Even with the loss, those fans were there cheering as loud as they possibly could. You saw an immense amount of Point Park fans with only a few CMU fans, even though we were away.
All right, thanks, Johnny, for the time. After this break, we asked the question, what's gone wrong with the Pittsburgh Steelers?